Welcome back to this beautiful sequence of masterclasses rooted in Ayurveda. And today we are looking at the second spring and what happens and where does this word come from and why have I been using it and my hair looks funny and my hair looks so funny anyway. So and just to wrap things up in a fashion that brings it all together. So in the first series, we saw what Ayurveda is and the doshas and what happens when the doshas out of balance, the qualities. So we're serving the quality, and when the quality is out of balance, then we need to bring the opposite, right? On the second transmission, we saw all about the hormones, decoding hormonal imbalance and what happens in the different aspects in the mind, body, and the spirit, and truly it's a time of change. So today we're talking about the second spring. So the second spring is similarly to what Ayurveda calls the golden years. The second spring is a term that is coined through the Chinese traditional Chinese medicine. And it basically denotes a time in a woman's life when she no longer utilizes that energy for reproduction, or that energy that used to be used for reproduction rather is not used for internal growth, for advancement, and no longer for reproduction. And so all that energy that was directed outwards is now begins to return inward. And we have this, initially it doesn't feel like we've got this extra energy because there's a lot of shifts going on. But this is where it all happens. The beauty is in rising above it and managing it through lifestyle. And this is what we've been covering, is like it all comes down to lifestyle and how we use our energy. So today we're going to make it so much more positive and so much more inviting and so much more welcoming, and not just about the symptoms and what happens, but actually how we can grow in this time, and how throughout human history seen this recalibration turn positively. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about some traditions and how they see this this shift in a woman's life when she gets into her last chapters in her life. But for women, usually this shift is a time where she begins to question the big life questions about relationships and life and work, and mostly identity. So no longer identifying with that the youth in her life, rather what's happening with all these changes. And this shift is totally normal. It's a recalibration, as we've seen and we saw in the last session, but the recalibration through the hormones. So in the Vedic tradition, which is the Hindu tradition from India, life is divided into what we call ashramas. These are the different stages of life. And a woman's value is deepened as she ages. The later years, the later stages, is a time for wisdom keeping. It's a time for teaching and for spiritual depth. So it's a time to dive into the reasons for being and all the questions that are emerging at this time, and passing it on. In the native indigenous traditions, the elder woman is seen as the keeper of stories, the medicine woman, guiding the younger generation into all this knowledge that she's acquired, and holding emotional and spiritual wisdom. The grandmother, the abuela, is often the most respected voice in the community. In the Chinese and Taoist traditions, or in Chinese traditional medicine, aging is seen as a movement toward refinement of the internal power. A woman conserves her energy and she cultivates inner vitality, which is seen as the yin, through stability, wisdom, and balance. In the African tribal traditions, the elder women are the matriarchy or the matriarchs, which there are leading ceremonies, holding community wisdom, guiding family decisions, and they are the central pillar for keeping the community together. And in the Celtic and European traditions, we see the crone as the representation of intuition, of insight, of truth. She is the seer, the wise woman, the healer, and she's seen as the one that sees clearly. So may not feel like that. I'm just going to shift my hair the other way. I don't know what's happening to my hair. Anyway, changing like everything else. So as you can see, in older traditions, the woman is in her, let's say, in the 50s, which is really truly when the woman comes into into that stage in her life. Everything before that, the years prior, say from 42 to 50, is the perimenopause. Is when all the shifts and the changes are happening, and the woman is getting herself ready to step up to the role that is beckoning her. Is that the right word? Becoming the beacon. Yes, that she is the light of wisdom into her community. So energetically, there's a massive shift, as we can see, we can feel, and is from doing to being, to finding that balance, which is what Ayurveda is all about. Ayurveda is the balance of life. And so we use Ayurveda in all the stages in our lives so that we can be ready for that time to truly step up to that. So it's a little bit like preparing your body for meditation. So we practice yoga, we get the body ready, we make sure that we have our hips, our lower backs are ready to be able to sit and meditate. So similarly, we're doing the work throughout our later, our early stages in life to prepare us for this time. And the earlier life being that life where we're building, we're creating, and we're proving, we're constantly having to prove to others and also to ourselves that yes, we can do this, we've got this. But now it's a little bit different. Now it's all about refining, choosing, and embodying. So the body starts to become more intelligent in how it wants to use its energy. So bring it all back to lifestyle and how we use our energy. So we're going to speak about that lots today, because this is what the second spring is about, is how to use our energy and to channel it properly. And so this is why discernment becomes one of our greatest strengths on this journey of the second spring or the golden years. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the different aspects of this transition through identity and emotional evolution. So at this time in our 50s or prior, we may start to feel and experience old identities of ourselves that want to dissolve. So they come up so that we can observe it, witness it, and then let it go, dissolve it, because it no longer resonates. Much like relationships and people and places and things, they just naturally dissolve, or they naturally disengage from our lives. It no longer becomes important to do to have it as a priority. So the patterns of people pleasing, this is a big one for in the modern world. We're constantly having to please other people, and we leave ourselves last in a way. So this surface to be released. So we're doing a lot of releasing, a lot of letting go, a lot of observation and integration so that we can surrender and then let it all go so that we can be more at peace and have more clarity. And so these shifts start to happen more naturally, and it brings us to a deeper desire to bring authenticity into our lives. So this is wonderful to truly come into that who you are and who you're meant to be, rather than the masks and things that people put in front of you live, which is normal. So women may see these shifts, these changes as something negative. They might interpret the signs and in a way that they are, well, overwhelm is a big thing, as we saw that in the previous sessions. They feel disconnected. They feel like their bodies are letting them down, and they feel a sense of not belonging to society because they no longer have this youth or whatever it is you want to put a name to it. And for me also, what I saw, for me, what happened it was mostly an element of surprise. It's like, what's happening? What's happening with? Am I going crazy? I actually thought at some point that maybe I needed to see a psychiatrist, because I truly didn't make any sense. And I remember saying this in a previous session, that it was the client that told me that it was actually the hormones that was causing havoc in my body, in my mind. So there's a tremendous gap of education. And in fact, we are the first generation of women to say, hello, what's going on? What's happening here? What is happening? And to re-educate ourselves in this field. And of course, the self-esteem goes down, and that uncertainty over what's happening. But it all comes down to re-educating yourself and understanding and installing safety and paying homage to your temple. So this is all things that Ayurveda teaches us, right? And so this is the mind and the body recalibrating. So all the symptoms, we may see them as on a negative tone, but actually these are just messages saying to you, okay, things are happening, and we may need some changes in order to be able to swiftly transition, because it's all about how we transition. And this is what Ayurveda is all about. So we are shedding versions of ourselves that no longer serve, or we're never really aligned, and maybe we didn't even notice. So we're reclaiming our innate identity, that progressive identity, the one that is ascended, the master one, the aligned one. So it's like peeling that onion, like meditation, going back to the meditation concept or example, is we're peeling layers to get to the sweet place of being just yourself, and really truly facing yourself and how you are with the dark, with the yin and the yang. Absolutely. So the body is the guide. The body's sending you messages. It's very clever. This temple in which our souls and body is so intelligent. And so because of the body becoming more sensitive, then our intuition is heightened, and therefore the body is less tolerant of what is no longer resonating and what is not right emotionally, physically, and energetically. So the body becomes the guide. It is the temple in which you're going to transition, and it's giving you all the signs. So if you slow down and pay attention to what the body is saying, and using the tools that I'm offering you, and that you can always research all this stuff anyway, then the transition could be smoother. And in terms of energy management, so energy becomes your biggest asset. It is more valuable than anything else, even time. So how we use our energy, how we spend it, and how we also preserve it is the key. So this comes down to Ojas, where we'll talk about that a little bit later, which is a concept in Ayurveda. So the formula is going back to science, going back to biology, energy input versus energy output. And so how are we keeping our vitality and how we're spending our energy? This is key. So overgiving or overdoing, over anything with the word overdoing is no longer sustainable in this stage. Boundaries become essential and the hallmark of our wellness. Just similarly, like strength training becomes just support rather than just being something that we do to look good. And no is a new form of self-respect. So you might be the type of person that is always saying yes and yes and yes, like the kappas like to do. And so understanding that you just have to, it's the restructuring yourself from the inside out. And no might become more of something that we say in order to save our energy. In the second spring, how we use our energy determines how you feel and how you spend the rest of your years. Just like I said in the last session, that how we transition is going to determine how healthy you are in your later years. And so we spoke about rituals a lot in the last session. I gave you a big rundown of things that we can do. But I think by bringing it back to simplicity is how we regulate our nervous system. Remember, the nervous system needs to feel safe. It needs to feel like you're supporting it. With morning anchoring rituals, evening unwinding rituals, and bringing it back to adrenal replenishment, which is also Ojas. Safety, breath work, and a Vata diet. So the rituals create rhythm, and rhythm creates safety. So this is very Ayurvedic. This is the essence of Ayurveda, is rhythms, is rituals, is the little things that we do in our daily basis to be able to feel is the other one, to feel more connected. And there's one key in Ayurveda, which is consistency of our rituals. So it's not just doing it really having a hard time with my hair today. Is a daily rhythm, is sometimes even twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. You might be the type that needs a little bit more meditation, more grounding, more root vegetables, more warmth, more oil, etc. But daily. So this is the key to Ayurveda, and this is the key to finding stability and clarity. through purpose and expression. Once we're past this onset of symptoms and finding a stability through our rhythms and through our daily happenings, we find more clarity. So this could take years, actually. This could take quite a long time to finally stabilize yourself, and so that you can go, okay, now this happened. Now, where am I now, and how am I going to move forward? So in this time, a deeper calling shows up. A little voice inside of you, a quiet voice inside of you is saying, there's something deeper or something more meaningful that's meant for me. Or an urge to contribute to a higher cause, or to be part of something bigger, collective, or change. So this is where we write books. This is where we create platforms, we create methods, we coin things, is coming out of this stage of life. And many women in their second spring, or their golden years, become speakers to help other women to facilitate that passage, the rite of passage. And maybe there's an act to serve that deeper calling of the life purpose, which we call dharma in Ayurveda or in Sanskrit, which maybe you never even felt that. It's possible that you didn't have the little voice, or there was not a deeper calling, or that you never really tuned into your purpose. And that's we relate to that purpose as your higher purpose. There's a higher purpose to everyone, to every single human on this planet. We are here to serve at a higher calling. So during the second spring, it could be that, yeah, you tune into that more, and you truly find it, or it finds you, or you finally say to yourself, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the calling, for the purpose. Yes. And before I get into community and sisterhood, I want to tell you a little bit about some of the concepts of Ayurveda that are very important around this time. So the term of Ojas. So Ojas is, we can translate it to immunity, and is the deepest reserve of vitality we have in your temple, in your being. It's going to be different for every person, of course, but it's cultivated over time through nourishment, rest, emotional balance, and how we live our lives, and especially our lifestyles. So how you spend your lives and how you are nurturing yourself before. So before, in your 30s, in your 40s, how you are managing your stress, how you are cultivating vitality and all the good stuff, it will determine your transition. So I mentioned that before. So this is all what Ojas is about. And it is the quiet glow of a well-supported body, mind, and spirit. It is your inner strength and your softness at the same time. And I haven't talked about Ojas yet on this masterclass series, because now is the time, because we can only really understand it from a calm place. And so if you're listening to this and you're still in your 30s or 40s, it's still time to nurture your vitality and your immunity, your Ojas, is never too late. And so that means nourishment to your dosha and to what's out of balance. So therefore, it's really important to know what's out of balance. So by going back to the dosha test, so nurturing and taking care and bringing balance through opposite therapy. So don't let things get too far, because that is going to manifest in some sort of illness or a condition. We don't want to get to that point, because then it takes much, much, much longer to come back to stability and to balance. So this is the key. So it's the discernment I'm talking about, or we're talking about in Ayurveda, is understanding that the self-care is crucial throughout and in every area of our lives. It's paramount. And the things and how we choose life and the different areas of life and the different happenings for you, for your dosha, is important in each moment. So honor your energy and prioritize it at every given moment. Find clarity and self-trust. And so this is about that wisdom that comes from that immunity and the balance in body, mind, and spirit. So, of course, practicing just yoga is not going to do it. And practicing, and likewise, only meditation is not going to do it. And so it's the entire global network of let me call it entire global network of lifestyle, all the different things that we do. So Ayurveda, and through the balance of the doshas, balance of life, balance of mind, body, and spirit, that gives you access to that vitality. And similarly, and how we can support our sensuality as we get into our late 40s and 50s, it's dramatically different to how it was in our 20s and 30s. And thank God for that, because our energy is different. Our depth of understanding the body and the mind, the spirit, and how we take care and how we share that with a partner and a lover, and or with our family is different. So it's the sovereign sensuality, sovereign economic balance, sovereign vitality through mind, body, and spirit. It's the discernment that's necessary. So our sensuality and what it looks like in our later years, in our golden years, in our second spring, it becomes more about confidence in yourself and the woman that you've become, and shining your light and sharing it in the most precious and sacred and sensual way. And how we do everything can become that ritual, and that sensuality is how you speak, how you walk, how you eat through life. Radiating your inner sensuality, your light. And it's the finding pleasure in the simple things in life, and how we use the senses for pleasure rather than just the physicality of our being. And this is Tantra. This is how we become tantrics in our second spring. We can spend tremendous amount of time with a lover, with a partner, exploring our senses in a deeper way, that it becomes and gives you more vitality and more ownership of your being, of your body. Not just yourself completely or fast rather, but that rather is the nurturing. And feeling at home with your body. So not easy, it's much easier said than done to fall in love with your body that's changing. And this again can take time. It can take years to love your wrinkles, to love your gray hair, to let it be, and wear glasses, wow, and so you can see better. And how we fall in love with our bodies again is the tantric way of the discovery of your new you. But it's not about finding a new you. It's about rediscovering who you were always behind the, or who your spirit was behind the makeup, behind the clothes, behind the job, behind those identities of the modern world, and being naked to who you really are, to your spirit, to your sense of belonging to yourself, your sense of the balance of all your different bodies, because we have different bodies, we have different layers to who we are, and till we find that the heart is the home. Heart, the home is in our hearts. It's not in the external, it's in the internal. And finding your way home finally. And so this is part of what the second spring is about. And it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and I'm going to be starting to interview women who are either transitioning or have already transitioned to the other side and have made something from it, or they had maybe they had a breakdown, which is many women go through breakdowns in this stage of life, and it's normal because it's not something that's taught. And this is where the wise woman comes in, through the life experiences and the stories, where you're teaching younger generation that take care of yourself now, because later on you're going to need that. It's very beautiful, becoming wise. And so that leads me to the 4 pillars of a balanced life, before I talk about community and sisterhood and how we can walk forward or move forward with all this information. The hair. Something happening with my hair. It's definitely changed a lot. That looks better. And even in my other videos, there's something going on with my hair. But so the 4 pillars of a balanced life. So we're looking at the first one, which is nervous regulation. I spoke about this, Lois, on the second masterclass. Creating safety and calm for our nervous system through rest, breath, and the right rhythm for you. I repeat, for you, because we're all slightly different. The second one is nourishment and digestion, which is very Ayurvedic, through the right foods and habits, and increasing our agni. Our agni is the digestive power, in the power of discernment, of digesting life, emotions, our daily stuff, and it's how we process all that. That's also agni. The third one is strength and stability. So building physical resilience and grounding our energy. So strength becomes a form of self-support. So I couldn't emphasize this enough to truly make it a habit to strength train, either with weights or with the body or out in the campo or with anything that's strong in your atlas or anything that you can lift and that's going to build strength and tone, and more importantly, strengthen your joints and strengthen your fascia and your tendons and your ligaments, because your body's talking to you. Your body's talking to you. I've recently finally started to lift weights, which I haven't done, I think, since probably, honestly, my 30s. Crazy. I couldn't remember the last time I went to a gym, because in Ibiza, there's, I think, 2 gyms that are decent to go to, and they're packed, and I just don't want to be in a packed gym. But anyways, I found a really good option thanks to my friend Sam. If she ever watches this, thank you, Sam. And yes, strength, strength, strength. Not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. So remember, we are transitioning into the stronger spiritual path in our lives. So this is where we bring it all together through the second spring. And the fourth one is emotional and energetic alignment. So this is living in your most truest, authentic self. Your authentic self comes up, and we look for it through truth and sustainability. Sustainability is it's become a let's say, for lack of my vata doesn't remember, but it's a word that we use a lot. We hear a lot. Sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. So what is that? That's going to feel and look different to each person. But to be able to sustain ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, etc., we need to create the right environment, back to adrenal replenishment, back to ourselves as a being and on this planet, is to create sustainability through regenerative practices. Regenerative practices go to earth, but also to us, because we are one like the earth. We go back to the earth anyway. This is just a part of life. We will die. Our temples would die, and whether you turn into ashes or you're put in a coffin, but you're going to go back to the earth, hopefully, or the ocean. So sustaining our ever-changing world. The earth is changing, the elements are changing. So maintaining a balance through the shifts. This is all about the alignment. So much to learn, so much to talk about. And so the sovereign aging, because it's something that the word I've been using a lot in social media and in so on and so forth, is, in a nutshell, is the art of moving through life's transitions with much more awareness, vitality, and self-led power. Boom. So in terms of how we move forward and transition smoothly and swiftly, we need to find community, sisterhood, womanhood. And if you haven't watched the Netflix documentary on the blue zones, I highly, highly, highly recommend it, because one of the big things in how we can live longer with vitality and joy and all the good stuff through the pillars is through community. The support is needed. We are not meant to live alone. We are meant to live in community. And this is back to the beginning of life, beginning of times, through all the different traditions I mentioned at the beginning. Community, community, community. Not so easy in modern times. So this is why we have to find community, whether it's in cyberspace, whether it's through actual family. If you live close to your family, I unfortunately don't. I wish that I did, especially now in these transitions into the second spring and the golden years. My twin sister is thousands and thousands of miles away. So is my mom. So is my brother, and my massive family. My mom has had 6 sisters. 2 of them have passed away. May they rest in peace. So I have a huge family, and I'm so far away from them. But we keep in touch. I'm not very good at it, but we have a WhatsApp group for the whole family, and this is a great way to stay in touch. So we have the medium, we have the tools in modern times to keep tabs on community, and it's so important. And the gathering of the women support any community, any society. We have moved from from patriarchal systems to matriarchal systems. There's definitely, we can see a rise in women coming to power, but we're doing it in a graceful way, in a soft way. We're not imposing, we're rather inviting. We're inviting like-minded people to come together. So we're seeing loads and masses of communities rise up in Portugal, in Costa Rica, in all through Central America, in South America, and I highly believe that South America and in parts of, like, well, mostly South America, it's like the Pachamama and the Gaia that we need at this moment, that supports us. But we need to give back because we've taken a lot. You know, when I say we've taken a lot, I'm talking about hundreds of years of abuse, of overtaking and not replenishing. So a good rule of thumb, and I think there's a beautiful quote by Carl Jung that I can't remember at this moment, but something to the effect of leave no trace. Leave no trace. So if you're taking from Mother Earth, then make sure you're replenishing, putting back, giving back. Because there's the reciprocity that's really important, and is a good element into this transition, to understand the reciprocity that is needed in life and in communities and in any type of sisterhood or womanhood. We are not meant to walk on this earth alone, especially during those tough transition years for women. Yes, to reduce isolation. So there's something very deeply regulating about being in spaces with women who understand these transitions in these phases of life. And this is where we create, and this is where we invite. This is where the new earth paradigm is rising. So it's part of this transition of creating new spaces, creating new platforms for us to thrive together. The juntos is beautiful. In this phase of life, in the second spring or golden years, is not asking you to become someone new. It's asking you to return to who you have always been, without the masks, without the makeup, the noise, the ego, the doing. is definitely a time to return back to self, which is so Ayurvedic. And this then leads me to, so for you who are watching, and when you're watching, I want you to just take a pause and just take a moment to reflect in where you are in this moment in your life as a woman. So what needs to be released? What needs to be, what do you need to let go of to create space for that shift, for the change? Because you cannot, if your cup is full, there's no room for change. There's no room for the goodness to come in. And so sometimes retrieving is good, but only in reflection and introspection rather than in isolation. I hope that make myself clear with that. And so what needs to be released? So have a think about it. Maybe you can take this down as a prompt for journaling yourself and in this time. And then, so what is shedding? What needs to be released? And we just closed the year of the snake, moving into the 5 horse years. So this is the year to burn the stuff that's old and bring in the new. Powerful side of you, with the crone, the wise woman, the wisdom keeper, if you will. And so once you've created space, which is what we need to do, then what is emerging? What's coming out? What is the little voice inside of you telling you? What is your soul, your soul guiding you towards? The soul is always speaking. We might just be noisy inside and out to not capture the wise words from within, because it's all coming from inside of you. We all have that inside of us. The knowledge is inside, the wisdom is inside. So yeah, sometimes we need to go out to remember it, the remembrance, but is all internally. So how does that feel? It's a lot of information. And so I'm going to shift now towards sharing with you how you can move forward on this path with me, hopefully. And I'm going to share with you now the spaces I've created, and they're all different in a way, which, and it's all about what's resonating. So what's resonating, but also, if you're, depending on your budget and how wealthy you feel this time in your life, but also it's interesting because as women in our later years, in this transition, wealth is different. It's not monetary so much as is spiritual, as is your vitality. How are you shining your light? How are you sharing your wisdom? It's all about sharing. Yes. And so this is why I created this 3-part masterclass series, because I figured that now that I've transitioned and I had a tough time, but I know of other women that had a much harder time than myself. Debilitating is the word that some women use during this transition. But now that I'm on the other side, but I'm not fully there because I still have to recalibrate my sleep. My sleep is quite terrible, but I'm getting there. So what I've created is a what I call a the rising lotus path. Is an ascension. It's a path in which has different tiers in which you can choose. And why am I using the word lotus? Because this is very it connects back to myself, but also sharing it. The lotus lives in muddy waters, right? It's in a pond where it's murky. It's very green and I mean it's not dirty. It's just life. It's just the wisdom of waters, the wisdom of the algae. That's all conserved in this body of water. And the roots are so deep of the lotus, but then she blossoms. And so the lotus path is a path in which helps you and supports your path of rising up, the path of ascension, a path of recalibration. Even if you're in your 30s and you're watching this, this is good for any woman at any age. And I've designed it and curated this in such a fashion that is good for every stage and every transition of a woman's life, because we're always transitioning. We're transitioning constantly from from baby to toddler to and so on and so forth. And then there's the puberty and the manner. It's so much. And so the first of the offerings I'd like to share with you is what I've put together. It's taken me 6 months to put together because I came back to it slowly. It's a 21-day sacred guide to these transitions. I'm calling it the Sacred Transition, an Ayurvedic journey into the wisdom years, but it doesn't have to be the wisdom years. It's any transition in a woman's life to enhance their cycles and their rhythms in harmony with nature and the moon. So I have taken the moon quite seriously in my later years in life, and learning from different women. And Yasmin Boland is somebody that I follow, and I got her books, and I think she's just so wise that are helping us women understand that the more we tune into the cycles of the moon, the more we connect we're going to be with ourselves, with our cycles, and how we can use the phases of the moon to manifest. This is great. So this is on this guide. So it's a guide that you can start on new moon or full moon, depending on how you see that for yourself. And then you begin your 21-day guide transition, which could take you 40 days. Yogi Bhajan says it takes 40 days to make or break a habit, and in the tradition of Taoism, it's 100 days. So you take as long as you need to go through this guide, because it's for a lifetime. So it's created in a way that is like a Bible for women's transitions. It's full of amazing, juicy, and gorgeous. I'll tell you what it includes: a daily herbal ally integration plan for each and every, almost daily actually. There is bone building and hormonal balancing recipes, which I've tapped into Chinese medicine for that, because I really enjoy the macrobiotic diet. So the recipes are super, super yummy and nutritious and balancing. I've created a tea ceremony guide a tea ceremony guide for yourself, to do with yourself, and because it all starts with yourself, and then how to give a tea ceremony to others, to other women, to invite kids, or to invite elders, or to invite whomever in your community, bringing yourself back to community and to make it fun. I was honored to participate in a proper tea ceremony last year with an hermana here on the island. And I was quite surprised at how meditative it was. There was very little talking, and it was just all about the tea, presence, and your senses, because we use all of our senses to tune into that cup of tea. So This is only the 21 day guide. And there's daily affirmations, daily prompts, and really what I found was very crucial to add was seasonal adaptations for each dosha. And this is very Ayurvedic, so it's all about each dosha. And so voila. So this is the first offering that I'm gonna send your way. So this is gonna be up on my website. I still have to upload it, but it's already. And so this is there's a cost to that. And so for those of you that may not be super abundant financially at the moment, I'm going to offer a Luna Women membership. It's free, and then you can tune into my website for that. Similarly, then moving to the next tier of membership, which is now I'm calling it the Second Spring Society, because bringing it back to community. So this is, we're going to have monthly live calls, but also there's a lot of juicy stuff in the Second Spring Society and what's included in it. So make sure to check my website for that, because it's quite a lot and it's going to be a lot of work for me. But this is how I'm moving forward with in service to women, because it's not only going to help me, but by helping me, it's going to help others, and based on experience. And the top premium offering is called the Chrysalis, because I have also grown very. I haven't taken any water in almost an hour. Cheers to you. Hydration, hydration, hydration. Wow. So I've also fallen in love with butterflies, and I've been reading about butterflies, and I was really inspired, of course. And I actually created a method called metamorphosis, and I haven't really put it out there lots. It only had like a few months live here in Ibiza until the studio closed, because studios are constantly closing in Ibiza. There's something to that, very strange. But there's really just no places to teach on this island, unfortunately. So I have that kind of there sitting. I'm not really sure what to do with it. But anyway, that's to tell you that the metamorphosis, as in a method which involves, talking about is a method as in movement. So it's an interval class that combines yoga, Pilates, weights, and cardiovascular activities to really tone our bodies, tone our temples. And it's so much fun. It's done to super great music, but let's see when I can offer that. I cannot really offer that online, because I really believe in doing this live. So so back to the Chrysalis. The Chrysalis is a platform for deep, deep, deep personal immersion with me here in Ibiza. And it's a complete transformation here. And there is, I haven't really given it amount of days, because I believe that's going to be different for every individual. So it really is based on how deep we need to go and how much we need to clean up in order to set or create a new you, as in the Chrysalis. So the Chrysalis is the transition during the process of transformation that the gusanito goes through. And then it's wrapped around a silk, imagine you all know this obviously, but I call it like a sleeping bag, and it's made out of silk. And then in that time, there's so many things happening in for it to become a butterfly. It's it's unbelievable, actually. I hardly encourage you to check it out because it's amazing. Yeah. And so with that, I leave you. I think that is 1 hour of transmission. Do you want to say hello, Lucky? This is Lucky. This is Senia's dog. Very fluffy. Loves to lick. Lucky. She's the fluffiest dog on planet Earth. She loves to lick. She's my baby nowadays. Oh, anyway, so getting a pet is also highly, 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 highly recommended in your later years. Look at her, as in the transition, in the second spring and golden years. The pet can bring so much life, joy to you. If your kids have left home, not in my case. I have a kid and a dog. But yeah, pets are gonna help you to come back to love and to juiciness and to taking care, not just yourself, but a little being. So thank you so much for listening and for tuning in and for being here. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you got something out of it. There's ways to move forward. I also have a Luna Woman private Facebook group, which is part of the Luna Women free membership. And so there's ways in which we can stay together and we can grow together and we can build community. If you have any questions after you've listened to this transmission, please feel free to find my website and send me a message. I'm not super great at answering messages on YouTube. I just realized the other day that I had not answered to messages that have been there for 7 years. So the whole time that I've been pregnant, giving birth, and having a child and having a baby, I didn't once touch Facebook, YouTube. So I apologize for that. If you're watching and you were one of those people I didn't answer for 7 years, I apologize. I'll try to stay more in touch with the messages here, but my website is lilypod.yoga, and I've created a few things in there, so feel free to check it out. And I'm so honored to guide you during this course of life, during this rite of passage, because it's beautiful. You may not feel that like that sometimes, but this is where your true you, the wise woman in you, comes out. Yay! On that note, namaste. I like that. Namaste and namaste, and thank you for watching. All the best. Oh, how do I end this? Edit. Oh, cancel. Oh. I need to end stream. I'm sorry. And I noticed that there was 2 people present. Thank you so much. And hasta pronto.